What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they happened to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens.
The first day I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt.
The desperate search continues here in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. More than 100 search and rescue workers, many of them volunteers, continue their efforts working alongside the RCMP.
And we get up instantly, we're looking outside, we're looking everywhere, yelling for them, and I instantly just call 911.
Yeah, that's affirmative. So I'm essentially in the backyard here now, and sounds like they did not cross the road, but that's yet to be determined. And so yeah, we've been just pounding these hills back here.
Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Boy and girl are missing in a wooded area in Pictou County. A search is underway right now for the two, last seen this morning.
I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst.
In the remote area of Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, a place where the dirt roads wind through dense woods and silence is a way of life, two children disappeared without a sound. On the morning of May 2nd, 2025, 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack were gone. Their home sat nestled in a rural area off Gaelic Road, a part of the province with no street cameras, no cell reception, and fewer than 100 residents.
The desperate search continues here in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. More than 100 search and rescue workers, many of them volunteers, continue their efforts working alongside the RCMP.
That morning, their mother Malaya Brooks Murray reported them missing after allegedly waking to find the door open and Lilly and Jack gone.
They happened to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, "Do you hear the kids?" And he says, "No." And we get up instantly, we're looking outside, we're looking everywhere, yelling for them, and I instantly just call 911.
There was no sign of a break-in, no frantic footsteps, no screams, just the unthinkable absence of two young children.
That's the campground, that's the KOA, it's across the road, and the people down there are aware, keeping an eye out. There's also a trail cam that was found on that road for the staging area. Just trying to make contact with the owner there now to see if he had any footage.
What followed was one of the most extensive search efforts in Nova Scotia's recent history.
There's teams and units from the RCMP who have a variety of different tasks to be completed. So there's work being done across all sorts of areas in order to collect the information needed.
Over 160 people, search and rescue teams, volunteers, K9 units, helicopters, and drones scoured the surrounding forests, lakes, and marshlands. Thermal imaging and aerial surveillance were used across hundreds of kilometers, yet days passed with no confirmed clues, only a vague boot print which led nowhere.
There was at one point a possible footprint identified, and based on that, the searchers have now started doing grid searches around that area just to expand to see if there's anything from that.
At first, many believed the children had wandered off. The terrain was unforgiving, dense woods, swamps, and fast-moving water. Perhaps they were hiding, perhaps they were lost. But as the hours turned into days with no sightings, no sounds, and no discoveries, that theory began to fracture.
Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that. But Lilly loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends.
On May 5th, RCMP quietly shifted the tone. The case was now considered suspicious. The language changed, so did the mood.
Since Saturday, because we treat all missing person files as suspicious until our investigation leads us to determine otherwise, our Major Crimes Unit has been engaged.
A deep frustration stirred among the public, particularly within the Sibagin First Nation, where the children were registered members. Despite their young ages and vulnerable status, no Amber Alert was issued. Authorities claimed that the criteria had not been met. There was no confirmed abduction. But many questioned how 2 young children vanishing from a rural home without a trace didn't justify national attention. As the official search began to wind down, a digital one took its place.
When you hear the reasons as to how these 2 young kids, 4 and 6 years old, mysteriously vanished, and a lot of people are looking at the parents as though they have something to hide.
That's Daniel Martel, and I think he knows more about the disappearance of his missing stepchildren than he's letting on.
These 2 babies have now been missing for 6 days in Pictou County, Nova Scotia.
Social media platforms erupted with concern, speculation, and scrutiny. TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube became informal investigative hubs. Users pored over every available interview and public statement, analyzing body language, tone, and timelines. While many were motivated by the desire to help, others jumped to conclusions. The children's stepfather, Daniel Martel, appeared emotional and cooperative on camera.
I'm absolutely exhausted at this point. After going through 6 days of virtual hell, it's absolutely crazy. So I'm just fighting for Lilly and Jack.
Still, public suspicion lashed onto him and others close to the case.
And it's like he's trying to wipe tears away that are not there. And then what is the first thing he does when he brings his hand down? It's look up at the camera to see, or the person he's doing the interview with, to see if they're buying his story.
Martel has publicly urged full cooperation from other family members, including the children's mother, who left the county and blocked Daniel not long after the media began coverage, and expressed growing frustration at the public's rush to judgment.
They're flying in someone to do a polygraph test. Is that on you?
That's not just on me, but on everyone. That's what I asked for. I asked for that so early on, and there's not many places that do it in Canada, so they're flying somebody in. Their side of the family doesn't believe me, and I just want to clear it up for everyone, not just the people online making crazy accusations.
The disappearance has sparked rampant speculation on social media, much of it involving Martel. He calls it all nonsense and says he's had nothing to do with the disappearance.
It will never be enough for a lot of people online. I mean, everywhere I go, people stare. That's something I have to live with until, the truth makes its way out, and the truth always makes its way out.
Adding to the unease is the unclear situation surrounding 16-month-old Meadow, the children's younger sister. On May 8, Martel attempted to visit Meadow at a Child Protection Services office in Stellarton, but was reportedly denied access. It's unknown whether Meadow is now in protective custody or under the supervised care of her mother. Authorities have not clarified her whereabouts, prompting increased tension and speculation in the community. The children's school community has been shaken to its core. Salt Springs Elementary now hosts trauma counselors, and local churches have opened their doors for vigils and volunteer support.
And we have to, as parents and as adults, assure our little ones they are safe, and we have to make sure they are safe.
The children had last attended school on April 29th, according to their bus driver. They were reportedly homesick in the days that followed, unseen by anyone outside the household. When their disappearance was reported on the morning of May 2nd, no one in the community had seen or heard from them in nearly 3 days. As the days passed, the massive ground effort was gradually scaled back. Crews were exhausted, leads had run dry, but the silence left behind was unbearable. Then, on May 17th, search teams once again converged on the Lansdowne area, retracing steps, rechecking terrain, and refusing to let the case slip into the shadows. The renewed presence of search crews reignited hope, if only for a moment, that something, anything, might be found.
They are wondering if they didn't go missing earlier, or maybe somebody who isn't local to the area was around beforehand.
This is some of the footage Scott gave police. She says RCMP major crimes officers came to her home this week, asking for everything on her 7 cameras, starting April 27th
5 days before the kids were reported missing.
And they did respond saying that they probably should have been around earlier.
In today's world, tragedies no longer play out behind closed doors or solely through police briefings. They're streamed live, dissected, and debated. For the families at the heart of this mystery, the attention can feel both empowering and excruciating. The pressure to perform grief is relentless, and while digital interest can help surface leads, it can also spread damaging speculation and obscure facts.
There's a lot of information and the police have to follow up on every lead. But when a lot of it ends up being rumors, it's taking away from valid calls that they're getting and valid information that they would like to follow up on.
Still, one question looms. What happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan? If this was an accident, why no sign of them? If it was foul play, where's the evidence? No ransom, no witnesses, no credible sightings. The disappearance has left not just their family, but an entire province grappling with the haunting void. What happened on that quiet May morning remains hidden in the woods, in the silence, in the space between what we know and what we fear. No footprints to follow, no trail to trace, just an open door, and the two children who vanished without a sound. Someone somewhere knows something, and until the truth surfaces, Lansdowne Station will not sleep. A province will not stop searching, and the names Lilly and Jack Sullivan will not be forgotten. If you know anything that may help the investigation or search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan, please contact Pictou County District RCMP at 902-485-4333 or the Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS and www.crimestoppers.ns.ca. Even the smallest piece of information could be the breakthrough needed to bring Lilly and Jack home.